Welcome back. We're going to start a couple new series. First series being the roll cage on the Cadillac, and then the second series being the twin turbo build. So I actually already somewhat started on both. The cage, as you can see, I took every bit of the interior out of the car. She is gutted. Carpet, dash is sitting over there, all the rest of the internal stuff. So I actually ended up already building the main hoop. I'll show you the dimensions and I'll show you what I did. Considering it's the first cage I ever built, I didn't know how it was going to go. So I was like, well, I don't want to show them that I'm an idiot. So it actually went better than I expected. And the first one I did fit perfect. So I got it in the car already. So this is it. That one's obviously, you can see where I marked it, where I'm gonna have to cut. But it fits perfect. My plan is I'm gonna put the 6x6 plates, and then I'll drill the hole and I'll drop the cage down through to weld up top. You'll see that as I go. But it fits really nice. Like you said, that one's off a little bit, but I mean, there's hardly any room there. It's perfect. So I'll show you what I did. So I'll just hop in here. So all I did to measure this up, and I'll show you all my measurements, they're out on the toolbox, but you can see, well, I think you might not be able to see it, my center line there. So all I did was I measured from here over to this one, and I split that and got the center of back here, and then I took all my measurements from there. So I measured out. So I have a shoot, it's not in here, but more or less it's I think I showed you something about a cheater bar, but it's a 90 degree. So this is that one I showed you where it's a 30 30 30 bend, but I set it up in here and I tucked it all the way up. I tucked it all the way up against the side, and you know what? I'm just gonna grab it. So here's the cheater. I know I've showed it to you at some point before. So I have the beginning of the bend marked, and then on the other side, I have the stop of the bend marked. So all I do is I set it up in here, and I push it all the way over against the side. And where that mark's at, I put a piece of tape and I mark it. And I do the same on the other side, and then I measure from my center point out, and I make sure they're the same on both sides. And as long as they're the same on both sides, then I'm okay with that. So I mark that, I take my measurement, write it down, and then I kind of just had to decide what kind of angle, because I thought about going angling out and then angling down again, and then coming straight down, so it'd be 3 bends instead of these 2. And it kind of follow the shape of the car a little more, but that would have just been overcomplicated and everything else. So so I ended up just doing the 2 bends. So this is a 60 degree bend here. Like I said, I'll show you the dimensions and everything else. So 60, and obviously to get to 90 degrees, you subtract 60 from 90 and you get 30. So this one's a 30 degree bend. So more or less all I did was I figured out about what degree I wanted. And you can see it's just about 60. I was maybe just a hair off, but I just I think I stuck it, I kind of just held it up here with maybe my cheater bar, and I kind of got an idea of, you know, what kind of angle I was gonna want. And that's what I went with, and it worked out perfect. So, and then I measured about, you know, I kind of did the same thing here. I held it to about where the bend was going to start, everything, and the mark ended up being right at this edge here, and so I marked there, and I measured from here to there, and I mean, obviously it turned out perfect. So I'll show you the measurements here. Yeah, it'll see for my door bar, it'll run right through there. It'll be perfect. So that'll be a little difficult. And the other issue is running this bar up here. If I want to run it all the way up here, or if I want to run it out here, most likely I'm going to run it out here. It'll just depend on the headroom. I got to figure that out, but we'll go over that as we go. So here are all my measurements. So one of the measurements I took was 48.5 from the floor to the ceiling or to the roof, and so there was 13 5/8 was from my center line to the start of the bend, like I was saying, both ways, and then my 60 degree, and then it ended up being 12 inches to the start of the next bend, which, like I told you, was just 30 degrees, and then what was left was 31 3/4. So that is tight. So if you were to build exactly like this with these dimensions, it would be tight against the ceiling and the sides. So what I did was I subtracted an inch from this overall number, which is these two added together, subtracted an inch from that. So more or less subtract a ½ inch from this, subtract ½ inch from that, and that brings it in just enough, and that gives you that clearance on the inside. And then same here, so I subtracted ½ inch from the legs here, and that brought it off the ceiling. So I ended up moving the cage. It was perfect, but I ended up moving it back away from the seats a little bit. So I got to cut and that's why it's kind of wedged up against the ceiling. So I keep saying ceiling, the roof. So we'll see. I got to take a little bit more off of that, but I'll figure that out as I go. So right now it fits perfect. It goes right around the edges. That's how long the tube ended up being, the whole bar. And I think I ended up cutting it at 12 foot. So I cut it at 12 foot and I bent it, and then I ended up cutting these off the ends. So it worked perfect. So that's the start. The first bar went well. I mean, it fit perfect, so I couldn't ask for any better, especially for the first piece I've really ever bent for roll cage. You know, I did the tube front end and everything, but that's a completely different thing than a roll cage, you know. So I would assume that the main hoop is probably the most difficult. So we'll see. We'll get into it. We're gonna get into the rest of the stuff. So my plan is I want to keep this bar tucked and hid, so I'm going to run it down this pillar, and then I'm actually going to cut into the like this plate here, which is the dash mounts to. So that aluminum shell over there, it had the same thing, went all the way across, and I took this side off, but I'm going to cut the top out of it, and the bar's going to go down and in the back of the dash back here, and it'll come straight down and get plated down there, so it'll be nice and hidden. So really, hopefully the only thing you see is this bar here. So if you're on the outside of the car, so with tinted windows, which I don't have yet, but hopefully when I get tinted windows, you won't even know this thing even has a cage, because, well, I guess if you look up front here, then you'd be able to see it. It'll be like right here, so you'd be able to see that, but you might not notice. And then the windshield bar will be behind this tint, so you won't be able to see it. So I don't know, we'll see. We'll see how it goes, but I'm trying to decide, because the turbos is something I'm trying to decide too. Because the supercharger, obviously I had the orange on the lid, and that looked really nice. And so the theme of this has kind of been, you know, the orange accents. So I kind of debated painting the cage orange or black. I'm kind of up in the air on that. And then the turbos, what color I'm going to paint them. I don't know if I'm going to do the housing orange or black. I don't know. So I still obviously got the valves covers orange, but now I'm adding the black intake, the black alternator, and that stuff looks really nice. So I don't know, we'll see. I'll probably do the turbos orange, and then we'll see from there. I don't know, we'll see, but that's the plan for now. And oh, actually, I'll talk about that in the turbo series. So that's really going to be it for this video. It's going to be a short video. Just kind of wanted to update you. So I'll be a little bit better about filming the rest of the roll cage since the main hoop went well. I didn't expect it to go that well. So since it went decent, I'll be better about filming the rest with my measurements and showing you what I do. So well, that's it for this video. stay tuned for the rest of the cage build and go watch the turbo build. That's going to be interesting in its own because that's going to be a first for me too. So we'll see. We'll learn together. I don't know. So we'll see. All right. I'll see you later.